Hi guys, it's Mark Zicree, Mr. Sci-Fi, also known as Mark Zicree of Space Command and the author of the Twilight Zone Companion, here on a rather gray day in Los Angeles. Today we are going to talk about What You Need, a Twilight Zone episode written by Rod Serling and adapted from the short story by Louis Paget. Now, it's not one of the great Twilight Zone episodes, but it's entertaining, and it stars the wonderful Arlene Martell, who's quite beautiful, and she's also in Demon with a Glass Hand and 22, and played Spock's fiancée in Amok Time, written by Theodore Sturgeon, and she was actually a member of my roundtable in later years, and she was a very delightful woman, and in her youth, just staggeringly beautiful. Beyond that, it has Steve Cochran in the lead, and Ernest Truex playing an old man, which he was. Now, Ernest Truex later would be in a much greater episode of The Twilight Zone, the terrific Kick the Can by George Clayton Johnson, but he's very good here, very solid, as are all the actors. Now, the interesting thing about What You Need was it was adapted once before, and you can check it out. It was an episode of Tales of Tomorrow, which was a 1950s science fiction anthology series, and you can almost certainly find it here on YouTube. If I find a link to it, I'll put a link below. But it was not nearly as well adapted as it was by Serling, because Serling really knew his stuff and really understood the strength of the story and where the ending could take it. It's a fun story. Now, another fascinating little tidbit is that I mentioned a couple of videos ago that Ray Bradbury was a huge influence on Rod Serling and also on how Rod got his group of writers on the show. And interestingly enough, Louis Paget was the pseudonym of a married couple of science fiction writers, Henry Kuttner and C.L. Moore. And Ray Bradbury, when he was a teenager, knew them, and they were friends and mentors to him. And as was Lee Brackett, the very famous science fiction writer and also screenwriter who wrote movies like Rio Bravo and is credited on Empire Strikes Back, and was just. And Big Sleep, of course, the adaptation of the Raymond Chandler novel. But What You Need was basically a short story that they wrote together, and often the short stories they would write together, such as The Twonky, there's a number of them, would be kind of darkly humorous, and certainly What You Need has that quality. And again, for the science fiction writers, see, one of the things that made Rod Serling, what made him unique, and also what made him successful, was that he really appreciated the writer, and he really appreciated the source material, and he was delighted when he could take a really good science fiction short story, particularly one with a snapper, a cool ending, and adapt it. And but for C.L. Moore and Henry Kuttner, and by the way, the Louis Paget was one of their pseudonyms. Lawrence O'Donnell was another, and but they basically, Louis Paget was both of their mother's maiden names. And for them, because you were only paid like 5 cents a word, sometimes even a penny a word, you'd be pouring out short stories at a furious pace. So that might represent a day's work or a few days' work, but certainly no more than that. And and they were publishing stories in all the different pulps, as well as science fiction paperbacks and so forth. I recommend them, and they're very, very fun writers, and they wrote individually under their own names and also under pseudonyms and jointly and so forth. So check them out. But What You Need is fun, and it has it's cozy. It's a cozy kind of story with a kind of inevitable ending. So enjoy it, and tomorrow we'll be talking about yet another episode of The Twilight Zone. And in the meantime, if you want more Twilight Zone, go to twilightzonecommentary.com. I'm doing episode commentaries on over 100 episodes of The Twilight Zone, and you can be part of that. And also we're having a drawing for Twilight Zone Companion, signed by me, sent to you if you win it. So go to Twilight Zone Commentaries right now and tell all your friends. Take care. Bye, guys.